The early entertainment today was Clemson against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Now, this game was going on while you were at the Portable Stadium watching Oregon Northwestern, right?
Yeah. That's the official name. It's just the Portable Stadium. I think it's Martin Stadium.
Martin Stadium, that's right.
Yeah.
So you watch your Oregon Ducks get the dub.
Yep.
But while you were doing that, we were online. We were watching this game between Clemson and Georgia Tech. And I got to tell you, I mean, talk about setting the tone for the entire week. This was an awesome game. This was an awesome game. So if you didn't watch it, you got to go back and watch it. You especially got to watch the end. It was a little bit like an NBA game where like the last 10 minutes were the most exciting. But Georgia Tech ends up winning this on a walk-off 55-yard fire drill field goal. And what I mean by that is they were out of timeouts. They ran a play. They talked about it on the broadcast, and a good job to those who were working the game, calling it out, saying this is something that Georgia Tech's been working on. They've got their special teams lining the sidelines. They're ready to run out at a moment's notice, and that's exactly what they did. So they run a play. The clock is running. The special teams unit storms the field. Kicker, snap spot, kick up from 55. It hit midway up the net. It would have been good from 70. It was incredible how much boot he got on that thing. So it wasn't pretty, but it was something that I think you would be very proud of, given your one rule of life, which is doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to work.
Just needs to work. And you're only as comfortable as your feet are. And I guess Georgia Tech and their kicker, that's some comfortable feet if you're making that at the end. Good job.
This is an incredible win for Tech. Tech built the entire plane out of Haynes King.
Yeah.
Which was not a surprise. We expected that. But they mixed in enough with the motion, with the thread of the pass. It felt like Clemson was constantly on its back foot while playing defense.
Yeah.
Which kind of caught me off guard. You know, I thought for sure it would be telegraphed that it was going to be a Haynes King show, and it was. But based on the ways that they were mixing things up and providing different looks, it never really felt like Clemson was able to zero in on anything.
Right.
And just when they got a little bit of momentum, Georgia Tech would find another way to break a play. I don't want to jump the gun here. And clearly everything depends on Haynes King staying healthy the rest of the way.
Right.
But based on like what we saw today, this version of Georgia Tech, look at their schedule, Dan.
Schedule's pretty great. I did.
They're better than everybody on the schedule, maybe with the exception of Georgia at the end of the year. But we're looking at Wake, Virginia Tech.
At NC State's a little bit scary,
Duke,
in my opinion.
Syracuse, at NC State. I really like where NC State's at. Boston College and Pitt. We can take the Pitt thing that I had. We can throw that right out the window. That's fine.
It's still mid-September. These teams can improve over the course of
Everybody
the season.
can improve. Nobody's a finished product at this point. But if we're going to make snap judgments after week 3, you got to, again, a lot depends on putting Haynes King in bubble wrap.
Correct.
That's why what they did last week was actually brilliant, to try and give him an extra week of rest, because so much is reliant upon what he can do out there. But man, look at the schedule. Their conference schedule right now, they're better than all of these teams. And that's not even a question in my mind.
They're 3-0. If they finish less than 10-2, you just have to assume, unfortunately, there's something with Haynes King's health. I think.
I mean, I think that's fair. That's fair. By the way, I'm officially off the Clemson bandwagon now. I don't know if I can say that here.
Number 1 team in America.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm off. I'm off the bandwagon.
You're telling me this Clemson team, these past few years, that has been fine to pretty good, but loses games to the quality and good teams they play with a good amount of consistency, is just fine, but loses games to the good quality teams on their schedule. They haven't changed. This is exactly who they were.
It is, and I think that's the most frustrating part, because I'm watching this offense and I'm thinking, is this a Clemson 2024 cover band that I'm watching here?
Yeah, they didn't stop the run last year. Ding dong. What are they doing wrong this year? Like, same stuff.
But I'm talking more about the offensive side.
Sure.
You know, there were 3 big plays. There was a
running back. Yeah.
73-yard touchdown catch and run, Bryant Wesco. There was a 33-yard pass to Josh Sapp. Then there was a 30-yard run by Adam Randall.
Yeah.
If you take those 2 longer passes out, Cade Klubnik was a hair over 4 yards per attempt. credit to Tech. I thought they looked good on defense, or better on defense anyway than they've been.
Sure.
But again, if you're Clemson, and as I have been touting since friggin' July, a playoff caliber, whatever, team, offense, defense, doesn't matter. You got to look better than that. You just got to look better than that. So I'm out. I'm out.
Well, look,
I can't do this to
here's the
myself
actual
anymore.
good news. Before you're fully out, they beat Troy. Okay, there's your feather. They lost a non-conference game, so they only have one conference loss in this moment. It's a long season. They can have a not crazy impressive record and still end up in the ACC championship game, still back way into it the way they did last year, and win the ACC just like
Sure.
they did last year. They can still do that, and then once you're in, who knows?
The
But
ACC could well end up being a demolition derby, just like every other
sure,
conference is going to be.
yeah,
Maybe not the Big Ten, but I think the SEC is headed down that path. The Big 12 never got off that path. And there was always potential in the ACC if a couple other teams stepped up. But I think we have that this year. And certainly Tech is going to be in the mix for that. Clemson not fully out at this point, but at least the early indicators aren't promising and pointed in the right direction.